Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to Alien Protocols. We've talked about craft in a lot of different ways on this channel, and we've spoken about some of the things we're about to get into right now. But putting them all together really kind of gives you a sense of perspective, allows us to reflect on ourselves, and kind of see, are these assessments and judgments realistic? Can these realistically be ascertained just from our existence? I don't know, I'll leave that up to you. But let's start with craft. As you, I'm certain, would understand and likely agree with, their craft are going to be, if they so desire, faster, they can travel longer, more powerful defenses, they can be more self-automated, their craft can be more plugged in than like our fighter jets. And by plugged in, I mean connected to the whole primary intelligence. Their camouflage, of course, is much, much better. They can be smaller and, of course, much, much larger. And likely, just one of their very best craft could take out every military on the planet. Just one. That would be my supposition. Let's go to technology a little bit. Of course, they're going to have more power, be able to generate more energy than we can. They're probably going to be able to generate more energy from smaller spaces, smaller amounts of matter. We think nuclear power is something. Maybe they have a twist on that. But as we look through human history, we see fewer and fewer people have been able to do more and more damage with less and less. And I would think that trend would continue with a more advanced civilization than us. I think with their technology, they certainly, as is the case with humans, everything's smaller. As time has passed, we've been able to make things smaller and smaller. Smaller watches, smaller computer chips, smaller. So the notion of nano craft certainly should not be ignored. And the consequences of them. I would think almost, if I was planning a fleet or any missions, I would make sure any one craft would have several craft within it. That fractal kind of breakdown you might have seen in previous episodes or spoken with Dr. Simeon Hein about. They would have faster processing speeds. They could compute outrageous possibilities in a much shorter period of time. They'd have a lot more reference data than us. Think about it. If you have a crap load more data and you have better sensors and all these different parameters, your ability to predict the future is probably really good. So they might have incredible powers for predicting the future, ones that we wouldn't even think possible. Let's think about some of their different types of medical abilities. Of course, they'd have cures for almost anything that humans would have. They could likely do the most complicated surgeries, including like head transplants. They could make us immortal. And they likely have the option. I wonder what they've decided as a society, to have a cutoff period after a certain time. Because immortality has a lot of ethical problems and a lot of other considerations. Very interesting question. I bet with their medicine that they can infuse us or themselves with other life forms without any fears of rejection. They could, if they need to go swimming, maybe they can add gills, add flippers in their feet. Of course, this would be less dangerous with a secondary life form, not the primary life form. So the medical stuff is just mind-boggling. We've seen and heard through many very high-quality evidentiary cases about people getting healed and having documented health problems and being fixed after encounters. Now let's go into something a little bit more scary. Weapons. Of course, their weapons would be much, much, much more powerful. Far more precise. We've gotten more precise over time and faster. Multi-targets simultaneously. Less civilian damage. Of course, their weapons could be a lot smaller. They could be far more dynamic than we even consider as a weapon. I think we all would agree they've got better camouflage. With less, they could do a lot more. They could render us anything. They could render us frozen, completely impotent to do anything. In terms of military and their military abilities and strike back abilities, we haven't really seen that often. And there are some very strange cases that I've researched where space, time, matter, and energy have been utilized in ways that we might not have thought possible in order to do some pretty bizarre things in retaliation. Think of how much we don't know the things they could do. You could almost think, like what kind of magic could they do? And you might not be that far off. They certainly, as we have, as a species, grown and learned from previous advances, we're able to dynamically manipulate our surroundings for our benefit. We're able to dynamically manipulate matter and energy. And you can be certain they can do the same at a far more extreme level. And although we're just beginning to manipulate space-time in the most very, very fundamental ways that almost shouldn't even be considered manipulating space-time, it's very likely that they can in ways that would appear like magic to us. Well, what do you guys think? What else do you think is possible? Oh, by the way, I dropped my phone, and it didn't seem like anything was wrong with it. And then I slept, and when I woke up in the morning, it started doing this stuff. Watch, it'll do whatever it wants. See? Okay, I'm gonna try. Oh, no, don't do that. It is doing whatever the heck it wants. Oh no, don't do that, please. Please. It literally is possessed by an unclean spirit. And it is doing all sorts of weird ass things. I can't even call people. It's very, very bizarre. Tell me what's going on with my bank. Let's see what my balance is. Does it say here? This is going way back in time. Back in time. I think my balance is like... Oh, that was too recently. Anyway, I think the balance is below 100. Anyway, my phone is possessed by an unclean spirit. Please see, look at that. It's just typing and doing whatever it wants. Sending messages. Wow, this is absolutely nuts. So it won't let me do anything. Can't do anything. Look, it's doing whatever. It's just scrolling on this bank one. Let's go back in my history, way back in the time machine. Way back. Look what it's doing. It's totally on its own. Possessed by an unclean spirit. Possessed by an unclean spirit. Oh, no, not that one. Anyway, that has been incredibly frustrating. Tomorrow I'm going to go out and see if this shop down the street can fix it for me, maybe. I pray. And fix it for nothing. I love you guys. Although their technology might be absolutely extraordinary and virtually incomprehensible, I think our technology is the same. I love you guys.